Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports with Monga. And what a race, man! Like, okay, maybe I should over exaggerate. What an amazing race! Nah, it was the Max show altogether. We're not surprised. I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody was surprised. Max Verstappen was starting P6. Everybody was guessing when will he take the lead of the race. It took him 17 laps, but then the signs were already there because for the first lap, I think he made three positions and he was already third or fourth behind Hamilton, and then in two laps he kind of got through Hamilton. I think it took a couple of laps to get through Leclerc, and then he made a pit stop, and then so on and so forth. But yeah, it was a pretty simple. I would say, in my opinion, it was a pretty simple race for Max Verstappen. There's no kind of big thing. The we've known this guy to be one of the best. Like he's a once in a lifetime talent that we are seeing and we are witnessing. We should be proud of like seeing somebody with such love, such talent, and such he's just on a different level. But then just going to run through the whole, and just to run through the whole kind of the how it kind of ended. I'll also kind of do a little race summary of like the first lap. We had an incident between Oscar Piastri, who was like second yesterday in the sprint race, but then that didn't kind of make too much today because he was out in the first corner itself after kind of crashing in or like having an incident with Carlos Sainz, who locked in the first corner, went in deep, then took a hard right, but Oscar Piastri was right there. He bumped into the wall. A race over. He was out in the first lap itself. There was a small kind of yellow flag around that time, but then to the point where when Leclerc kind of came back, or like Perez came back, it was all done and dusted. But then yeah, that's kind of the main incident that really happened in the first opening laps of the Belgian Grand Prix. But it was all about Max Verstappen. Like, how long does he take, and will there be rain, and like how will teams? But what was interesting, what in my opinion was the most interesting part of this race, was like nobody knew what tires to fit on, like to fit on their cars, because nobody had done a dry long stint run on any tire. So everybody was like gambling, like, okay, let's see how this goes. Everybody was on the softs from the start. There was a bunch between softs and the mediums. That's how everybody started. But then you could see the softs were going off pretty quickly, and you started seeing pit stops happening around in laps as early as lap 6, where I think Albon and Ricciardo and some of those guys kind of entered pretty early on. And then you can see the top four of Perez, Leclerc, Max, and Hamilton still kind of out till Hamilton then kind of pitted at lap 11. And that was kind of the thing, right? Like the tire they were going to was mediums, basically. Everybody was pitting for a medium, and then a lot of people went back to softs as well. So it was a two pit stop race, but people expecting would it rain because at around like lap 20, it was a 44 lap race, but then around lap 30 that people were expecting it will be raining soon, but then the rain did come. But it didn't fall as heavy as everybody expected. The softs were holding up pretty well. Albon made a really, really good pit stop there to kind of get in early for the Orlando Norris, in my opinion, was the main winner here, because McLarens were they have no straight line space. Everybody knew that. If there was a dry race, everybody knew they would struggle. But then Lando Norris, he at one point was P18, and then he has come back, and he pitted it very early on for the softs, and then he stood on to that. Like he did not it's one of those races where you're like, wow, because the McLarens, what they did, they pitted him early for a hard tire, and that didn't work. When they pitted him on the hard tire, I think in lap 7 or 8, he was plumb lost. Almost plumb lost. And then when everybody started pitting, he in the second pit stop made an early kind of gamble when the rain was going to come, and everybody was like, "Oh, why are you doing this? This is stupid." It was a beautiful move from the pit strategic point of view, but then him driving as well that car, like in the slow speed corners, and the overtakes that he was doing. Wow. Let's see the overtake on the outside of Radion from on Sargent is like, I think, the overtake of the year. I would say Perez, I would say Ocon also had one of beautiful on Yuki. That was really, really gutsy, and one touch, like if anybody moved, if it was not as aligned as it was already, we would have a shunt or a crash. But then, yeah, that was kind of that was really nice, kind of stand out to me for Lando Norris and McLaren after the kind of the difficulties they had with Oscar, of course, Oscar Piastri kind of getting out in the first lap. Um, pretty pretty interesting, or like it was simple race for Max Verstappen. We all knew that he had the pace and he has the car to kind of get through, but it was just like when he did it in piece lap 17, that's when he kind of overtook overtook for the lead of the race. GP and GP, his race engineer, was not happy with that. Max was pushing a lot. I think he wanted to build a gap with Perez to kind of have a free pit stop to go for the fastest lap. But eventually that went to Hamilton, who finished P4. Russell P6. That was a nice race. For like, Russell was nowhere, but then he started kind of coming along. The pace was good. In the softs, the Mercedes were really, really rapid. The traction was helping. And they could kind of get off a lot of cars kind of over. They were able to overtake a lot of cars. Hamilton never looked under threat, but Alonso was coming for him, but there was still a good gap. Alonso, the point finisher for both. It was a point finish for both Aston Martins, Alonso and Stroll. But Alonso kind of showed why he's the best, and Stroll was completely kind of, I think, struggling to kind of hold of the car. He couldn't hold of anybody, like with Russell and so on and so forth. But then you could see Alonso moving and holding back, holding Russell at one point. But then at that he had and also coming in front of Russell in the pit stop, the second pit stop that they did. But yeah, it was nice. Ferrari, it was like a race of redemption, or like something that they wanted to kind of try to win, not to win, but to score some good decent points, because they've had a really they've been struggling in the recent past. And it was nice to see that they could finish on the podium. Of course, last year Leclerc was on the podium as well last year, and that was kind of the thing as well. It's he likes this race. Spa or Belgian Grand Prix does kind of suit him well. The Ferraris, of course, like wanted this, and Sainz in DNF. It's a good thing that it's a summer break, and people can kind of reset and then come back revitalized for Zandvoort in a couple of weeks. I think it's in 4 weeks. That's when Zandvoort is happening, on 25th of August. That weekend, 25th, 26th, 27th. I think that's when the next race is, and that's Max Verstappen home ground territory. So it's going to be mental to go be there. But I just touched upon Norris as well. Norris did a really, really good job to kind of hold onto the tires, hold onto the car, and kind of bring it to P7. Norris in the post race conference, or like post race conference, also said the fact, like at one point he was plumb lost and he was thinking he's going to finish P17 or P18 or P16 to finish on the points in P7 in a race that it was bone dry, and we already knew the car was slow in the straights, and they had no straight line speed. It's an achievement. Good day for Ocon. As I said, he had an issue with the overtake button that was just not working, as he said in the post race conference as well. At the media pen, there was an issue with his overtake button, but then and that's why he could not kind of overtake in the straights. He was doing the overtakes in the corners. That's why. But they were brilliant. I think my favorite was the one on Sonoda. Gasly just finishing outside of the points. I think he had a slow pit stop, which kind of got him in a DRS train, which just made it harder for him to kind of get back on overtake a lot of them. Yuki Tsunoda outpacing his senior in the AlphaTauri, with Daniel Ricciardo finishing P16. But then Tsunoda scoring 1 point in the AlphaTauri. That was really, really nice. We could see him kind of coming alive in the race with with this whole DRS train of like Stroll, Ocon, and Sonoda in Bottas as well. Norris at one point as well, but then he could make he made a gap enough. But that was interesting to see Sonoda kind of getting better. Like he was out qualified and outpaced outrun yesterday in the sprint race, but then that didn't have any points. This has a point. That's good. Ricciardo will be like taking it as a positive. It's 2 races in now. He understands the car more. People will start getting expected. He's not DNFing. That's a big thing. He's not crashing. He's not kind of shunting the car. He's not damaging the car. He's kind of doing what is the bare minimum from him expected right now in a mid-season reshuffle on the driving lineup. So he's doing a great job. I think everybody expects him to kind of continue this form in the future as well. What was interesting, in my opinion, was Bottas and Joe. They just, you could see them kind of getting alive on the soft tires or the medium or the soft tires sometimes in the race, but then there was not a lot of excitement around their kind of race. It was like they finished 12th and 13th, and never kind of were in the points finishing order. Bottas just looks off the pace. I still feel Joe is a more aggressive of them, and Valtteri is more relaxed right now. And I don't think he's taking, because he knows the car is not there, so he's not pushing the car more than what is expected out of it. Alex Albon would be disappointed. I feel he had a rocket ship. It was really nice to see him kind of fight the Alpines and fight Bottas till the point that they realized that they had the wrong tire on, which was the mediums. And if they had the softs, maybe they could have been, it would have favored the car more. Magnussen, another one, has got some running. That was a good thing. But they've got some running. And they did not DNF. That was a good thing. There was not a kind of the car was reliable. Maybe it was slow. It didn't kind of do any wonders. Hulkenberg finished P18 and Magnussen P15. And that's kind of how it ended up, right? Like everybody said that it'll take a miracle for Max Verstappen to lose. Now he's on a Red Bull are doing a crazy job here. 12 races in 2023. They've won all 12 of them. So it shows the domination that they've had in this season. What I want to talk about a little more is Sergio Perez, who finally had a podium after a string of really bad races for him. Of course, I don't think he should be the one thinking about points between the championship point, but then I think this helps him to kind of think about like where he is and how he kind of after summer get better at the races and so on and so forth. And the drivers championship is just to kind of I'll mostly be doing a couple of videos with on shorts maybe or maybe a shorts video on a season review of each driver or each car or each team basically. But I would definitely rate Perez low in the 5 out of 10 maybe, because he's had a very average season in a very good car, and that's kind of my concern. When you give when you give somebody an opportunity, you need, like you could see from Valtteri and with Lewis, right? Whenever he was one, Valtteri was second. Whenever Hamilton failed, Valtteri got the win. So he was more consistent. Of course, it's just the team mindset as well. There's a lot of pressure as well. But then right now, Max Verstappen is at 314 points. Perez is 189 points. So there's a big gap of around 110 points, basically. 140 or 130 points. That's the difference. So we can actually see that there is no point and there's no chance anybody's catching up to him. But then you can, I don't know, the probability of Max Verstappen losing this drivers' championship is really low right now. And also for the constructors, it's pretty interesting because Alonso is the only Alonso and Hamilton are like almost neck to neck right now. When Alonso is on 149, Hamilton is 148. What has happened is like Russell has come up with Leclerc. So Leclerc is at 99 and Russell is at 99 points as well, with Sainz dropping to 92. Norris, after his spring of 2 podiums, has kind of come to 69. Stroll is at 47 and Ocon at 35. That's kind of the top 10 drivers right now. But I feel that it's pretty much done and over with this championship. I think it's better we move on to the next one and see how anybody can challenge the Red Bull, the machine that they have. Let me know in the comment section below what do you think about the race. Did you watch the race? Who was the favorite driver? Of course, the driver of the day was also voted to Max Verstappen because it's his home race and they had all the kind of fun that they could have with him, and he had a lot of fun with his race engineer as well. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about this race. Do like this video, do share, and do follow us on Instagram. Like I'm doing more YouTube Shorts videos, so given your opinions on what do you want me to do YouTube Shorts on, or Instagram Reels, or Instagram stories as well. I look forward to hearing from you and catch you in the next one.